So you just took a quick break. You did your free write. You have some thoughts. Maybe you picked one or two topics for your free write. And now it's time to look at what are the possible sources out there that might help you decide what you want to do. One thing I remember a student doing one time, they really wanted to research something, and they were just so convinced that it was the best topic in the universe. And they went to the computer, and they went to the library, and they went all these places to find sources, and there was nothing written about their topic at all. That's usually a good sign that you want to pick a different topic. There are occasions where you might have the time and you might have the skills to go off and research something like that in your futures. But for the sake of this paper, we don't want you having to stress out about finding sources. We want you to have the materials ready so that you can choose the best materials out of the ones that are available to you. And I realize that it's going to be a little bit tricky because we don't have access to all of the books and things that we might normally have, although there are a lot of online ways you can access some of those materials. So let your sources be your guide. And this is really deciding between having a pie in the sky topic, and that's like the one I just talked about where the student was like, oh, I'm so excited about doing this, and there was nothing written about it, versus having something that is going to produce the best outcome. And that's what we want for this informational essay. We want to be able to produce the best outcome. So you're going to be looking for how many books or articles exist on each topic. And you're going to do what we call an initial search. Okay, this is the next step. So if I'm doing Michigan frogs, I would want to do an initial search about Michigan frogs. So I'm going to put my topic here that I'm looking up. For me, it's going to be Michigan frogs. And then what I want to have you do is create a list of possible sources. Now, I just went through my house and my bookshelves, and I found a few books. The first one is Guide to Amphibians and Reptiles. Do you think this is going to be a good quality source? I think so too. Then I went and I found this book that I have, Nature Smart, Family Guide to Nature. And inside this book, this is a great book. It's got things about critters and bugs. And there it is. So here is Herp Smart. There's a whole section in the book about frogs. And I'm curious, I haven't really looked through this. So there's turtles, talks about frogs, turtles, salamanders, snakes. So I don't know exactly how much information it's going to have about frogs, but it might have some information, and it might give me some ideas about where I could go next. Okay, so there was that one. Then I found this book. Remember I said I wanted to try to connect it to the environment. So I have this book, which is an environmental book, but I went into the back of the book, and I looked in the index to see what kind of information they have. And you'll notice, I think you can see it, and I have to scooch this up just a smidge. Let me zoom in, and you can see all the pages on frogs. So here are all these pages on frogs. There's a couple pages here on frogs. So this book is going to have some information, and it might be information that connects to the secondary part of my thinking, which is how do frogs how are scientists looking at frogs as a way to understand environmental impacts? If you remember that from my writing. Let me just, so there it is there. Why are they considered an indicator species? And I want to know more about how scientists study frogs to learn about environmental impact. So what I would do is I would list these sources. Okay? Now, you can go online to look for articles. There are lots of different sources that you can try to look at. There might be TED Talks on this topic. There might be videos. There might be TV programs. There might be interviews that you could do. This is going to be really a great time. I think I'll do a whole lesson for you all about how to do an interview, because I think people are sitting around right now, and they have a little extra time on their hands, many of them, and we can figure out who are some of the experts in the fields that you're researching and connect you with those people and have you do some interviews. That would be really cool. The robotics team did this when they were researching bats, and they ended up talking to, it was really crazy, they ended up talking to the professor who is one of the top scholars about bats in the country, and he happened to be a professor at Western Michigan University, and the students called him up and actually interviewed him for their research part of their robotics competition. It was really, really cool. So we can make that happen for you as well. We can figure out who might be some people you might want to talk to. So that's the next thing that I would have you do, is do an initial search. I like the number 10. I don't know why. It's a goal. So 10 sources. Can you find 10 sources on a topic as an initial search? This is going to mean kind of skimming them, okay? You're not going to be reading every single word in all of these sources. You're just going to kind of skim them, look at those topic sentences, look at those categories and subcategories, look at the headings, and see like, ooh, this might be a really good source. And what you're going to do in your list is you're going to make some notations. And some notations might be, start with this. So maybe you have, like, my example, if you got a guidebook all about frogs, that might be a good starting place. So I would list that source and I would say start with this. Maybe you find a source that you're like, oh, it's got some good stuff, but I don't need to start with it right away, and you're going to write next to it, read later. Okay? And maybe you find one that has just bits and pieces here and there, like the third source I showed you that had a few pages on it. So that you might put next to it, good for skimming, okay? When you're researching, you're not reading every single word right away. You're just trying to get an idea, kind of a flavor for what is going on in your topic and who's writing about it and what are they writing about. So your tasks for today include doing a free write about a topic or two that was on your 3-column list, figuring out what are some sources and making sure that as you look at your sources, your topic is not going to be a pie-in-the-sky topic, that it's going to be something that will produce the best outcome. And your initial search will help you figure that out. If you're not finding any sources on your topic, it's time to go to a different topic for this one, okay? And then kind of see how many books and articles exist on the topics. If you've got one that's got tons of information, that's really, really good. If you've got one that has very little, you're going to struggle. So it's better to find something that's got a lot of stuff written about it. And then finally, you're going to do an initial search today. So you're going to create a list. We're going to try to go with at least 10 sources. And they could be books, they could be online things, they could be videos or TV programs, or maybe names of people that you want to interview. And after each of those sources, you're going to indicate, is this something you want to start with? Is it something you want to read later? Or is it something that's good for skimming? Okay? So those are your tasks for today. And then what you're going to turn into me is a visual of your free write. okay? And you can type that on a Google Doc, and you're going to turn in your initial search list, which has these things listed after it.